When you think about the first half of your life, first point in your life, what word would you use to describe it? And when you think about this particular point in life to what's ahead, what would you like to describe it as? What word comes to mind that would define what's possible for you? Welcome. My name is Valerie Hope, and I am your host. You have tuned in to Time to Come Alive. This weekly podcast is an opportunity for me to connect with fantastic, fascinating people, and you'll get to meet another one in just a moment. Also, it's an opportunity to get even more conscious, to become more connected, and as a result, express your creativity in the world. Now, for those of you who are not currently subscribed, if you can't watch this whole podcast with us live right now, you want to make sure that you subscribe to www.timetocomealive.com, where you will receive this episode and others straight in your inbox. And you can also subscribe to my YouTube channel, where you have an opportunity to watch this and continue watching other podcast episodes. But today we have a very special guest. Gorgeous Borges, apparently I've heard is the nickname. But I have Don Borges with me today. Now, Don, you should know about Don is that he and I both have been connected through University of California, Berkeley Executive Coaching Institute. Both gone through it. And I kept hearing about Uncle D. Everybody admires and loves Uncle D. And I'm like, okay, Uncle D, great. And I met him in passing. And, and Don, like you and I mentioned, we didn't really connect the first time we met, but we knew of each other, in passing. And then over the last couple of months, there was something that you did or said, I don't know what, that struck me so that I reached out and I said, I need to know you. Let's talk. And we've had such beautiful conversations over the last couple of months. I'm so grateful. And I would say so for everybody tuning in, the one thing that you should know, that they should know about you, Don, is you have such a zest for living. And now you've lived a life. You have lived quite a life already. And y'all will hear in just a moment just how much of that life has been lived. But what I was really taken by was how much more you want to live, how much more you see possible. And that's when I was like, all right, Don, you got to be on the podcast. We got to talk. Welcome to Time to Come Alive, Don.
Thank you, Valerie. What an honor to be here with you. Yay!
What else should we know about you just out the gate?
Oh my gosh. Well, let me start by saying what I like to tell everybody when I do a self-introduction, and that is I am the oldest living BECI graduate of the Institute at age 77, and I love my age right now. It's a lucky number, by the way. But I went through the Executive Coaching Institute #1, and that was 11 years ago, or is it 12 years now, Valerie? God, I forget.
11. It'll be 11 in
11
November.
years this year, yeah. And it was quite a different program at that time, but still profound, still dynamic, still life-changing, right? But now 11 years later, as it's been tweaked and worked and amped up and cleaned up, oh my God, it's an incubator for change for the world now. And here we are as members of that, Valerie. What an honor and a blessing, isn't it?
It is. I feel like it's kind of an exclusive club.
I do, thank you. We need official cards, actually, damn it.
And a secret handshake.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Or it wouldn't be a handshake, it would be like a hug. I feel like we don't do handshakes. We
There
do
you
hugs.
go, yeah.
All right, so Don, you got to tell
with
me.
all the, all the alumni that have gone through and meeting them year after year, adding to the wealth of knowledge and wisdom that we start creating as a group entity, it can't help but just recharge me and revitalize me of thinking, wow, like when you gave your presentation at the reunion, what struck me with your presentation, as well as so many others, was the magic that happens when you take the tools and protocols and intentions of the teaching we all learned. And now we add that magic ingredient of ourselves to it, right? And spin it in our special way and then hand it back to everybody to say, here's what I've done with this. Check this out. And so and then I'm sitting there with, oh my God, wow. It just lifts me up and I want more. I want more of this. Yeah.
See, this is what I love about you, Don, is like you just so enthusiastic about all of it. All of it. Now,
Can't help
it's
it.
well, I want to know why and how he got there. But first of all, so let's just talk about the coaching piece, because you were student number one, you said, in the very first cohort, but you were already 66 years old at the time. So what was it that drew you to start something like that at that point in life?
Oh my God. You know that old thing about staying open to possibilities, right? Well, that's kind of what happened. At the time, I had lost my job at age 60. It was a voluntary move. I was working in the publishing industry at the time for a New York company, and I was the West Coast sales manager, right? Well, this was at a time where the new technology, oh, look, check this out. It's called Kindle. You don't have to buy books anymore. You can get it right on this handy dandy little instrument, right? And they all kept poo-pooing, nobody's going to want to read books on a screen. What are you talking? Our whole industry died overnight, honestly. The publishing industry just took a big dip as far as how many books they printed and so forth and so on. Anyway, orchestrated a nice parting of the way. And at that point, my wife and I had some discussions to kind of retool our lives. I mean, what do I do now at age 60 to try a new career? That's going to be tough, right? So anyway, I had always wanted to learn how to give a good massage. And I thought, I'm going to do this seriously. And I kind of researched schools in the areas and actually went and got myself certified in Swedish massage, right? And then beyond that, I got interested in the Hawaiian lomi lomi technique of massage, very ritualistic, very sacred, very shaman-like, right? And it fit with my background, right? So I took that course. And anyway, opened up a massage studio in downtown Oakland. And one day a client came to me by the name of Mark Rittenberg, who wanted to get a massage and he was going through some troubles at the time. And I did find out that massage therapists are like bartenders. People kind of want to tell you their story. So in the massage, it landed up, and of course, knowing him now, as we all do, he's such a tender-hearted man. He started crying on the table. Things were happening, obviously, as we were working out the knots and the tension. And somehow we got into a spiritual conversation of sorts, right? And I just kind of gave him some advice, and he said, I really want you to see these classes I teach at Berkeley. On leadership and communications and so forth, and having presence. And it sounded really interesting. So I went and I was blown away by the transformation. As a matter of fact, I went to a curtain up, curtain down exercise and watching people cry and watching the transformation. I thought, wow, it really appealed to me. So over the years, he kept talking about starting an institute, a coaching institute. We talked about this for years before it started, right? And here we are now, 11 years later. So I got just kind of opened up to it, and boom, all of a sudden, there I was.
It showed up. See, this is the part that I'm wanting to kind of take apart and look at it, because there's something about this desire. You were So you were 60 when you left the job in the publishing
Yes.
industry, and then you
Yes.
said, massage. Yes, I must learn how to complete
All
massage.
right. Out of the clear. Yes, I know.
Where does where does the desire to start something completely new? Because I'll ask this because there are people right now in the world, especially in light of everything that's been happening in with the pandemic, with the economy, where there's so many challenges, external challenges, where people's livelihoods have been adversely affected. There's a lot of challenges right now, and furloughs and layoffs, like all of that. And yet, for someone at 60 years old to pivot into such a different path, not everybody does that. So I'm like, what is it that drove Don Borges into this very seemingly unique path at that point in life?
You know what happened after I lost my job, or we brought it all to an end? You know, at that point, like I say, to start a new career was, gee, at age 60, really? I don't think so. So I was really kind of forced into some real soul searching as to what now? What do I do with this? And it's funny, Valerie, because as the weeks went by for a while, and I would say for the next 3 months, it was almost like I was going into like a detox, and that all of the faces, all of the associations I belonged to, all of the dinners I attended, all of the sales meetings, gone, right? The face that I needed to survive that, to make it strong and meaningful and successful. The person I had felt I had to be to make that happen was no longer needed. You know, or why did I have to hang on to that persona anymore? I didn't, right? So all of a sudden, it really did become a case of, oh my God, who the hell am I? I had spent years perfecting this successful, image of a salesperson and taking all that I had and trying to make it work for my family financially and so, but now that wasn't the incentive. I didn't need to do that anymore. So the reality of that kind of scared me in a way, but it helped me to shed for the next few months all those unnecessary things that just weren't going to serve me anymore. And what was left was just a man who kind of wanted to put it on cruise control if I could, for the rest of my life and just enjoy the real gifts the universe has given me: love, family, friends, connection, service, support, helping each other work through this crazy world, right? And I found that that's where I felt my calling needed to be, is to be of service in some way. And when I took the massage course, it really wasn't to get certified. It was just to kind of learn how to do it. But at one point, when the instructor said, okay, everybody just sit around. I don't want to hear any words. I'm going to do a full body massage now. Just take notes and just observe. So I'm sitting there watching her do this full body massage and start, honestly, Valerie, 5 minutes into it, I found myself getting emotional and choked up. I wasn't sure why. And I thought, well, okay, Don, what's going on inside of you now, right? And Valerie, what it was just this whole environment of surrender and nurturing and caretaking and healing and trust between two spiritual entities. It just was so moving to me. And I saw it way beyond moving hands on a body. It went so much deeper at that moment. And it was at that moment where I thought, oh my God, I'm going to do this. I'm going to open up a massage studio, and that's what I'm going to do. So, it isn't like I went into it thinking that's what I was going to. But when you open yourself up, Valerie, and your heart gets moved, that's a message from somewhere, right? What is that? And boom, it put me in a position to meet Mark. Mark took me to meet his his course at UC. We started the Institute, and, you know, boom, here we are.
That's phenomenal. I think you're so right in that when the heart is moved, right, when there's something that touches us, especially something so unexplainable, unexpected even,
Out
that's
of the
something to
blue.
pay
Yeah.
attention. Yeah, it's a place to pay attention.
Yes.
You gave us a little hint. You said that you were really attracted to the Lomi Lomi style of right massage, and that was tied to your background. So tell us about your background for those who are not familiar with it, and what was it about this style that drew you in?
You know, it's funny because after I started all of this and then got into massage, and just that whole period now of my life, something was happening to me, Valerie. And one of the things that started rising to the surface was my Hawaiian culture and background for whatever reason. You know, I've always been proud of it, but I've never really tapped into it or connected it. But somehow it kept coming up to me and calling to me. I'm not sure why, right? So in any case, the Lomi Lomi, I started reading up on it, and it turns out that it was very much a rite of passage type exercise, and actually performed by shaman and what have you. Usually it was a four-handed thing, two people, and you were massaged for maybe 2 full days, constant, just constant. It was to get you to realize your life's purpose, put you into a zone of complete, yeah, that you see your life's. I love the romance of that legend, but you know, how much of it is true, I don't know. But I loved it. I loved the intention of it, right? So the intent of the Lomi Lomi massage is very, very sacred. You do start with prayer, with chanting. You do energy work. You call on the universe to fill your heart, your hands, and be the tool, right, of healing. So you really get into, it's all about intention, very sacred intention. And the moves that they teach you are to mimic the waves of the ocean. Long flowing sweeping strokes, and then you kind of pull, oh God, you go back, and then you go back down again, and then you pull as you come up, and then you lift the body up, and it's very sensual without being sexual,
Sure.
but very, oh my God, it's just, it's amazing. It's an amazing experience, yeah. And it's all about the Hawaiian connection to the ocean and to nature and to the spirit is what it's all about.
Wow.
So yeah, other facets of the DNA of my Hawaiian culture, it just started making me think, and it's funny we're talking about this now, Valerie, because I'm kind of sensing that's where my coaching is taking me now. It's almost like this new thing is entering my mind, coaching with aloha, if you will, which basically means unconditional love. When you talk about aloha, we call that unconditional. Thank you. Yay, aloha. Yes, yes, absolutely. And that's what it is, yeah. And creating what they call pono, you know, which is harmony, harmony with everybody, everything in an authentic way. It fits everything we do at the Berkeley Institute, Valerie. You know, it really does. And yet it has maybe a little deeper, more sacred meaning from the Hawaiian infusion of intention that's behind it as well. So who knows? I may be hanging up my shingle. Yeah, coaching with aloha. So step right up. Yeah, you know.
I love that. I love that. And Don, were you born in Hawaii?
Yeah, I was born in Honolulu. Yeah, April 1st, 1943. Yes, way long time ago.
Way
Yeah,
long time ago.
yeah.
And what was your life then like?
Well, I was
What was
just a
the young
baby, you
Don?
know. Well, you know, I mean, we came up to the mainland in 1947. So I
Okay.
only had 4 years there. But, you know, even with that, I do have memories of the beach. We were always at the beach. I remember coming up on the Matsonia ship, and my mom was seasick. I remember that, you know. And I remember army tents. I remember that headlights on the cars with the black tape on them. This was
Mm.
after Pearl Harbor, right?
Ah.
So yeah, no, there was a lot of little memories like that. Yeah, yeah.
And when you go back, what is that like for you?
Oh my, oh, you know, it's like honestly something. I just start crying. I don't know what it is, Valerie. I swear to God. And as soon as I get into the waters, for sure, I mean, the tears just start. There's something like I'm back in the womb, you know, it's almost like being back in the womb for me. It's something there. I'm not sure what it is. Yeah.
You know what I find so interesting is when you shared the experience, and you so aptly demonstrated the experience of the Lomi Lomi and
Oh
the
gosh, yeah.
mimicking of the waves. And then you said this emotion that overcomes you when you go back to the islands, that it's almost like this ritual that you said that the Lomi Lomi represents, this rite of passage and helping people move into their full potential. It's like the birthing of a new being.
Oh God, I love that, Valerie. Oh, I love that. Yes,
And then just what you
yes.
said, and when you're in the ocean and that experience for you and reconnecting with your
Oh my
childhood.
gosh, wow, you're gonna make me cry. And don't we always have that opportunity at any moment to be rebirthed, right? If we want to, if you need to, whatever. You
Yeah.
start now, you know. But I love beginnings. I love beginnings, and I'll use any excuse to have a new beginning. Yeah.
Well, you had a recent new beginning because you told me that you just celebrated 48 years with your dear wife. So, okay, you got to let us in on this as much as you can. This is a G-rated show, PG-13. PG-13. Let's give it a little extra. So, just share with us what. So now that you 48 years in, what's the new beginning there?
Well, and a good question, and one that we posed to ourselves before we headed up to this little bed and breakfast place in Northern California, right on the beach for 3 nights and 4 days. Yeah. And funny you should bring that up, Valerie, because I'm going through whatever this transformation is I feel I'm going through right now. Whether my wife likes it or not, she's kind of along for the ride, right?
So
Luckily,
generous
she
of
is,
her.
is a loving partner
What is her name?
her name is actually Leandra, like saying Leandro, except it's Leandra,
Hmm.
but it's Lanny for short.
All
Lanny for
right,
short.
Lanny.
So, you know, she's, God knows, after 48 years, she knows me well. So it's not a surprise that I'm going through another transition in my life, right? So, no, we headed up there with almost an agenda of sorts, a loving agenda of figuring out who are we now? What have we learned in 48 years here? And is it time to get rid of some of the needless things that we've been carrying? You know, what have we learned that we can now put in our toolkit to move forward? And what does moving forward look like? What do we want here? Individually as well as collectively as a married couple. One thing I have noticed, of course, and this is logical, as the years go by, we all start changing, sometimes together as a couple, sometimes not, right? So when do we take time to make that reassessment? Oh, well, gee, I didn't know that you'd, yeah, if we had stopped to talk about it, maybe you would have known, right? So this was our moment, you know, come on, 48 years, good Lord. So, you know, it got very intense at some parts, and we vowed to be honest and truthful without judgment or blame, right? Speaking our truths without judgment or blame. We've all had good intentions throughout the years. Nothing that I want to harm you in any way. So anyway, it just kind of framed a nice space for us to come together up there at the ocean. And we stayed in this quaint little place where when you fell asleep, there was a window over our bed so you could look up at the Milky Way, right? I mean, you were just placed in the treetops. It was almost like a treehouse, really, right? And an outdoor shower and a jacuzzi tub, and oh my God. So it took us away from all the stuff, the virus and Black Lives Matter and President Trump and so we were away from all that noise. It was so therapeutic, Valerie, so therapeutic. So we feel we came back with a good baby step or two moving forward into the new lives that we want to create for ourselves, which makes you feel good, that you're still in a forward moving direction. So yeah, it was awesome. It was so great to get away. Yeah, yeah.
That's so impressive. I remember having a conversation a few years ago with a friend of mine, and he said that during his anniversary, he wasn't married at the time, but he said that during his anniversary, he liked, no, yeah, I think it was anniversary, he liked to take that time to recommit or to refresh, like, what are we committed to for the next year? And this
Yeah,
next year
perfect.
of marriage, what is this next
Yeah,
phase? And so I was inspired by that, and actually
perfect. Yeah,
or
yeah.
so Valentine's Day for me is not that big a deal, right? Because my birthday is on February 16th and my
Oh
birthday is a big
gosh,
deal.
really? Yeah.
I'm like,
Oh.
let's not waste it on Valentine's Day, this commercial holiday. My
Absolutely.
birthday is what's important. Don't get distracted. Focus.
Perfect. Perfect. Yes.
So
Yeah.
I remember sharing with my boyfriend this, in the years that we were together, that I wanted to use the 14th of February as an opportunity to reevaluate the relationship.
Yeah.
And it was probably more driven by me because
I
I,
have a feeling. Yeah.
I had questions and I want to know and understand. And part of it is because, to your point, I love the fact that you and your wife both committed to the process, because I also look at my birthday as my new year.
Sure. Sure. Yeah.
Not just the first of the year, January
Right.
1st, but my birthday is my new year of life. And I
Yeah.
really think about, what do I commit to in this new
Yeah.
year of life? And so,
Yeah.
that this so resonates with me.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so, I can't wait that when I marry, that, he's just going to have to,
It's going to be
we're going to have to
part.
do a
Yeah.
little
Yeah.
self-assessment. We're going to have a self-assessment, a little Google form.
Absolutely. Right
Right.
now, it's all about me right now. Absolutely.
Uh,
Oh
so I'm
my
curious, when you think back about, and I just want to stay on this topic of your 48 years of marriage. So when you think back to, like, the earlier years, what was that like when you thought about the intention of your partnership, and how has that intention evolved over this time?
Oh my God. I mean, it's like we had stepped out of a Walt Disney movie as far as what we thought life was all about and what it was going to be like. Who knew? Who knew? Um, the people that we were, I married my wife because she mirrored a lot of the heart qualities I feel I stand for and what I look for in the people in my life. And
Mm-hmm.
so when you evaluate that, is this the woman who has the heart I need to marry? Well, I thought yes. And indeed she was. I mean, she's a strong, amazing woman with a resiliency beyond normal human ability, I think, especially living with me. And, we've been able to just fight for our love. I mean, we've had some rough periods here. The first one, which, before we had children, God love her, I'd go to work and I'd open my lunch bag and there'd be a little note in there. Just want to tell you I love you. I love that stuff, right? And I come home sometimes. She knew I loved baths, right? She'd have a hot bubble bath with. So yeah, she was spoiling me, Valerie. She was. I mean, some women kept trying to tell, what the hell are you doing? You're giving us a bad name. Anyway, but that's who she was, right? But you know something? When we had our babies, because we landed up having twin boys as our first time out of the chute here, right? On Christmas Eve of '74.
Mm.
So all of a sudden, boom, Mom appeared, capital M. She's the best mother in the world, absolutely. And my sons will testify to that. But you know something, just for whatever happenstance and realities of life, I just didn't get my notes in my lunch bag anymore, and there weren't any more baths waiting for me. So things change, right? And you kind of, well, wait a minute, So after 48 years of all these things coming and going in our lives, big and small, little and whatever way you want to look at it, if you don't have the resiliency and the authentic love for that person for who they are, not who they are for you,
Yeah.
but who they are for themselves. If you really, then you let them be who they need to be, right? I told my wife at one point, I don't ever want to change any part of you and pull this out or that out because I'm afraid, like, as we all are house of cards, if I remove something here and something there, all the good things that I love you about you may start tumbling and falling out of position as well. And I don't want that to happen. So it comes down to loving each other and accepting all the good, bad, and ugly, and knowing that the intentions behind all of our emotions and our daily life is still to love and support each other, right? And if we do stupid things to step on each other's toes, yes, yeah, sorry, ouch, I didn't mean to. So, but man, it's tough. It ain't easy. It's not. It's been. Let's put it this way: it's been 48 long, long, wonderful years. Okay.
Long, wonderful
Long,
years.
long,
Again, it's just such a theme that keeps coming up. Like even after 48 years, that you're looking ahead to like, okay, so what's next for us? And
long.
you and I had a conversation recently where you were telling me about what's the next thing. So, we kind of stopped in the massage space for you. And so tell us about what is on your mind right now for yourself in this next iteration of Don Borges.
What's risen to the surface for me, Valerie, is number one, the coaching work we have learned. You know how it just becomes a part of life now, right? It's beyond coaching. It becomes who we are, the way we listen to each other, the way we place our intentions. And so, with all of that now, and knowing at age 77, let's face it, I'm kind of like what I call in the danger zone, but I'm going to keep going as if I'm going to live to 97. I don't know. Well, I may, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I don't want to say, 10 years from now, oh God, here I thought I was kind of running out of steam. I really should have gotten, well, no, I'm not going to say that. Let's do it now. Let's do it today. Where I am right now, Valerie, is to reassess and review now everything I have lived up to this point in time. My corporate careers, again, as I was saying to you earlier, what are the things we don't need anymore that just don't serve us, right? So I am still in that process of kind of shedding away needless baggage that is weighing me down and allowing me to, hopefully rise up further and further each time, the more weight I get rid of here. But in the process too has to come, I feel, a real quest to find out who the hell I really am. You know, let's go home. Let's go home to the authenticity of this body, this spirit, this man, this presence in the universe. Who the hell am I? What have I got to give to serve the world with? What is my legacy? What do I want to be remembered for, right? And to just drop into that inner wisdom, that inner, I like how Angela Sarian says it, the inner wilderness of who we are. I love that term, right? Because yeah, there's lots of terrain to explore in there, right? So it's time to drop all facades, all masks. I got to make sure I get rid of them all. It's almost like getting a little political here, which I don't want to do. But when we talk about the systemic racism, people don't seem to understand what that systemic thing means. And there's a lot of systemic things that we do to ourselves where we kind of almost promote our belief in a certain system because it's all we've known. It's there. We keep going back, right? I just want to make sure I get rid of all those things, Valerie, and be as pure a spirit as I can be, and thereby be of more value to myself and the people around me. So I know that's, go ahead.
How do you begin the process? Like as you're evaluating, what is right? What is the process of understanding who am I and what do I have to give and what do I want people to remember about me? Like what does that look like in practice?
It's almost like you have to do, it's like in our coaching sessions. What is the next baby step, right? So I'm constantly asking myself that question. Every time you feel you uncover a certain aspect of who you are, the next question becomes, okay, what are you going to do with that, right? Do you need that? Do you need to work it? Do you need to get rid of it? What's the deal? And once you make that decision, okay, then what's the baby step to do that? So to me, it's an ongoing process of rediscovery, reclamation of lost talents, lost skills, maybe lost passions that I kind of put aside because I didn't have time was the excuse, or whatever excuse I used, right? Let's revisit those things, right? Let's put them back on the table. You know what I'm doing in that process, what came out of this, and I think I mentioned this to you, maybe not. All of a sudden it dawned on me, I need to pick up the ukulele again and start playing. Years ago, I used to practice, right? But like I say, for whatever reason, the Hawaiian DNA seems to want to come out of me right now. And I thought, no, I'm gonna pick up the ukulele and learn to play it again, right? So things like that, and that particular pursuit, I think, helps to keep also the new creative side of who we always need to be. Never give that up. Almost that little child's outlook on life. We can't lose that, Valerie, right? We need to always be curious and just have that sense of wonder and awe at new discovery. I think that's important. So there's just so much. I shared with my men's group, which I've been a part of for 25 years, and it's a men's spiritual group. And one night in the topic, I said, there's one thing that God got wrong. Like I know what God got wrong, right? I said, what gets me is that, we go through the years and finally, as we're getting older and we have kept ourselves open, you're getting some wisdom and truth finally in your life, and then you die. So yeah, I thought, well, come on, God, what is that? No, don't do that to me. So, I was being very facetious, of course, but I said, okay, in rethinking it, maybe the deal is he just wants to show you a little taste of what real truth and wisdom is all about just before he brings you home. And then you get the whole package. You know? So, okay.
You win the grand prize.
Oh, yeah, right. Exactly. So at this point, I'm just trying to gain what little pearls of wisdom are out there for me to use, Valerie, Yeah, yeah.
I really love that the conversation that we had that really inspired me to bring this to the podcast was the fact that that there is more. There's always more, and funny enough, I had a conversation a couple days ago with a friend who probably in the 50s or so, and was sharing about some very profound challenges that she was really taking on, and and the commitment that she had to overcome these challenges in her life. That was really like, I'm all in, I'm super committed, this is what I want, and I've been working so hard, and all the years that I've not had the success, this is it, it's what I'm ready, ready, ready. and and if it doesn't work, oh, it's going to be such a failure, I can't,
Oh my,
oh, it's going to be horrible if I,
oh my
and
God.
there's this very there's this depth of commitment to this course. And towards the end, we had a lot of conversation around that. But towards the end of our conversation, I said, "Hey, can I be a little irreverent with you about something?" Like, what? And I said, "You know what would really suck? If you got hit by a bus tomorrow and died, like this whole commitment would be null and void." And then she was a little bit like, "What?" And
I love
and
it.
my
Oh my God.
point, and I
I
said,
love
my point was, I said, look, the living is in the living and doing and being in life, not at the end. Like there is no, the end is when we're no longer here.
oh, well, yeah. Is there an end? Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Right. And so for me, what I really got in that conversation was that the we don't know and don't have any real, we can't necessarily tell or control when that final moment or final day
Amen.
is.
Yeah. Amen.
Very few of us can, right? Let's call it that. I don't know if that's the case for everybody, but very few of us that I've heard of can. And would would that have been would life have been worth living up to that point? Right? I guess that's the question that was in my head. And I think my parents both taught me through their example, not by any real lectures, but I remember when my dad got a black belt in taekwondo when he was like 57 years old or something.
Wow. Really?
And I
Wow.
was like, Dad, why'd you get a black belt in taekwondo? And he's like,
Awesome.
I was stationed in Korea and I could. So
Perfect
is there another
answer. Yeah.
reason? Right.
Exactly.
Yeah. And my mom was always, just last night, we're talking about she's inspired to serve in the prison ministry. And I was like, what drew you to that? She's like, because I can. And
Oh God.
and it's always been that way with both of my parents.
Wow.
And there's
Oh my
never, both of
God.
them are also in their 70s. And they're
I
like,
love
we
them.
can.
Oh my. Well,
And
there
if
you
we can,
go.
we
Yeah.
do. And so
Yes.
I really get that feeling from what you've been sharing. And although, right now you're in the process, you're in that loamy stage of just
Yes, I
getting,
am. Yeah.
massaging whatever that
Yes.
new life is out of you.
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah.
That
And
there,
it's exciting. It's
yeah,
exciting.
I so
It's like
get that.
you were saying, it's like a rebirth. It's like a new life is waiting. And I get to make it any way I want it. I
Yeah.
mean, how lucky can we be, Oh my God. Yeah. Yeah.
You did say at one point, I don't know if you said this during our conversation online so far, but you did say that, the possibilities are endless as to who we can be. So talk some more about that. How do you see that playing out
Oh
for you?
my God. It's really that old adage of you don't know what you don't know, right? So until you know it, you don't have that option because you don't know about that option, right? So I guess I've always just been drawn to those surprises of life. It's almost like I look for them, Valerie, the tried and true staged templates of life. Okay, that's all nice, and thank you for sharing. But it's the stuff outside the template that draws me. I remember at one point in my life, I got and it's funny you bring up the prison ministry because I'm a member of the San Quentin Kairos prison ministry, which brings, basically brings Christ into the prison is what it is. But in any case, what kind of got me into that was the organization that I kind of fell into by, let's just say I had occasion because of this group to really encounter and meet some beautiful people in recovery and going through a lot of struggles with their addictions and what have you. Oh my God, Valerie, these people became my new heroes. I have never heard such stories of courage and passion and surrender in my life. I would love to think I have the wherewithal to be as strong as these people are. So prior to knowing that, I was, you just unconsciously have this whole thing with these people covered in tattoos. We do it all the time. We do judge a book by its cover. And not that I really was against them, but I didn't want to be associated. I had no leanings toward friendships with people. And now I learned the big error and stupidity of that's hanging on to that, because again, like I say, they have turned into my biggest heroes. Just a brief side story here, moving from that, one day in my sales job, I got to my client's place in San Francisco early. I had a whole hour to kill. So I thought, well, I'm just going to kind of walk the streets of San Francisco. And I just, for whatever reason, felt I'm going to talk to homeless people. I want to find out who and what. So I found myself sitting down with 3 separate people and just literally sitting on the sidewalk, asking them who they are, what their names were, what happened, what brought you here. Oh my God, Valerie, what a humbling experience. I mean, that could easily be me, and they could be the ones stopping to talk to me, right? So until we avail ourselves, of those uncomfortable things that we shy away from, I think we got to head right into the storm. I do. And find out what's going on there and educate ourselves, right? And I think that's the environment where miracles are brewing. Miracles of connection, miracles of support, service, healing. We got to stop the fear. We got to stop being afraid, right? To go to places we haven't been to. So going back to your point, you're exactly right. There is no end to the journey. It is the journey. That's what you want to focus on, is the journey, the here and the now of where you are and where you positioned yourself. What is your intention at this moment? What are you doing? Why are you doing it? So there's so many factors to draw on, right? And so many layers of how do we move here and how do we move there, and how do I serve you and how do I support, how can you support me? I mean, there's so much to learn, right? Oh, I'm getting myself all excited. Turn me loose, turn me loose.
Okay, so you're going to be turned loose soon. What are you losing yourself from? What is it that you have to loosen in order to move?
I think I still have some masks that I'm wearing, whether they're chosen or not. I'm not even sure where they came from. I need to be purer. Is that the right word? More pure. I need to be more pure in who I am, or at least in my determination of who I think I am. And that's going to be an ongoing quest, right? When do we say, okay, that's it, I'm done, I'm perfect now, I have no more work to do? That never comes, right? So it's how serious you want to be about it and how much time and effort you want to put into it. I don't want, if I die next week, I want to be as ready as I can be, and to be as authentic as I can be at that point. But again, what if I'm going to be here like 20 more years, Valerie, right? And I've got 20 more years of gifts to give and new experiences to add to my wealth of wisdom and knowledge and truths. How much bigger can I get? How much wiser can I get, right? And how much more then can I give out to the people around me, right? So it's almost like this self-preserving cycle of you give me and I'll give it back, and let's keep working that. Let's just keep, oh God, look how big it's getting. Yes, we're going to create a miracle here. Yes, boom, and then there you go. You created a miracle, right? So possibility, it's all about possibility. Yeah.
Okay, so here's the question. If it sounds like a morbid question, but it's not intended to be that. But if you were to die next week, what would you regret? Besides not learning or retaking the ukulele.
Yes, right.
Aside from
Yes, yeah.
ukulele,
Oh my
what might you
goodness.
regret?
Regret. Uh, I guess I would regret not having been more maybe demonstrative. Is that the right word? I don't know. It's almost like I feel like I haven't given enough of myself yet.
Hmm.
And that I've got more to give, and through procrastination or whatever, I keep thinking there's going to be another tomorrow. Well, what if there's not, you know? So, but then on the other hand, I don't want to get into this frenetic thing of, oh my God, what if I die tomorrow, I better make sure so I don't want to do that. I don't know. I'm not sure what regrets I would have at all, Valerie. Yeah. When that final moment comes, I'll make sure I put it on pause and send you a note. Because
You're gonna put the final pause.
and let
Can I
you
just
know what that regret is, you know?
told
Oh
you
God.
the last time we talked about the book Life Safari,
Yes, yes, yeah.
and so for those of you listening and watching that don't know, this book is by John Strzelecki, and I'm so grateful to my friend that recommended it to me. What was interesting about the book is that in an African safari, there's big five animals that people want to see in order to experience a fulfilling and satisfying safari experience. And that's the lion, the cheetah, the elephant, the rhinoceros, and the African buffalo. Now, in this book, it really talks about how there's a big five in our own life experience that we would find as fulfilling and satisfying if we were to experience, achieve, accomplish during our lifetime.
Yeah.
And I asked you that question when we spoke a few weeks ago. And so I'm curious if you reflected on your big five.
Oh gosh. Did I actually give you an answer?
I don't remember your answer,
I
so
don't
I'm asking
either.
you right now just to
Well,
create
right
it.
now, okay, right
Right here,
now,
right now.
because who knows? The answer may change tomorrow. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Um, but right off the top of the list would be God. That's my guy. He drives everything I do. And below that, Jesus. I am a strong believer in Jesus as the Son of God. So that's number one. Behind that would be my wife and family. Oh my God, yeah. The heartbeat of my life. It's everything I live for at this point. Um, After that, it would be, I don't know how far to break this down, but definitely I am drawn to children and animals. I don't know why. I think it's because of the innocence of their very being, and that we have the opportunity to create something so miraculously good through them if we just let that happen. So I am drawn to feeding their innocence, their joy, their playfulness.
Hmm.
They deserve that, they need that, right? So that would be next. Um, After that, I do feel social justice work is so important right now, that we need to stand up and be counted for what we believe in, and not be wishy-washy anymore about who we are and what we're here for. So I do believe that the outcasts of society need much more of a voice and a visibility and a participation in who we are as people, right?
Hmm.
So what is that? How many is that? Four? So I've got one more to play
One
with.
more. One more wish.
So The fifth one then would just be, the human race in general. We are here to serve each other. The people in Thailand, when I had the blessing to go with the institute over there, the land of smiles. Oh my God, Valerie, the gifts you come back with, that exchange of culture and heart and closeness and friendship, there's no word to describe it. And we learn and we grow from that. I saw the most humblest people over there without anything, hardly a piece of clothing to wear or food to eat, with the biggest smiles on their faces. What is that? We need to learn that, right? Right. And there's so much we can. So yeah, just being a citizen of the world and appreciating that, and that's the bigger part of the safari that may take quite a while to, traverse that plain.
That's interesting. It sounds like you want to be a guide or be of service as a
Oh
citizen
God.
of the world to the human race.
Oh, the gifts we get. I remember when I was a kid growing up, my favorite coloring book was this thing where it had all the costumes of the people from every country around the world. And you had to, it was a coloring book. And I used to pride myself on my coloring skills and buffing it up here and shading. And so, I mean, but it got me to appreciate the diverse cultures and the gifts that we bring to each other at the feast, the grand feast we share as human beings, right? God, if people could just realize that, Valerie, oh my God.
That's really phenomenal. And I'm curious, just as we begin to wrap up here, what's the message for your sons? So you have two sons, and what do you teach your sons about living and living a life of the
Yeah.
quality that you espouse and that you desire to live?
Yep. No, actually, I have three sons after my twin sons. We had a surprise baby 11 years later, just because God felt we were doing such a good job, I'm sure. But anyway, gosh, my message to my three sons, oh my God, I guess it would be just be authentic. Um, and that's such a big term, right? That with so much layers of definitions beneath it, but be true to yourself. Um, love ferociously,
Hmm.
absolutely ferociously. Do never let go of that. And that everything you do, every word, every action, if it comes from a pure place of love, I guarantee it's the right words and the right actions.
Hmm.
But you got to make sure it comes from that pure place, right? And don't be drawn off your path. It's too easy. This world is too noisy, right? Yeah.
Hmm.
So yeah, stay true to yourself. Yeah.
Stay true to yourself. Wisdom sounds like a children book in the making.
It'd be a good title for a book. You know, After I write my coaching with Aloha book. Yeah.
Yes, of
Yes.
course.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. And then last question I'd like to do. I have this card activity or questions, some questions,
Oh. Ah.
reflection questions on our time together. So there are four
Ah.
cards, and I want
Oh.
the number 1 to 4. Tell me which one. This is one,
I want number three.
3 right here. Okay.
Three.
So here's your question.
Okay. No, wait, no one. In one word, describe how you feel right now. Oh my, euphoric, lifted, inspired, excited, renewed, refreshed. Ah!
That's like 6 words.
So I'll say euphoric. Yeah,
Euphoric.
euphoric. I feel absolutely euphoric.
I love that. And I feel hopeful.
Good, Valerie. Good,
So
good.
I really think that, I mean, is okay, maybe it doesn't get as many points as euphoric on the Scrabble. But I do, in my experience of you today and in our conversation, is that there is so much to live for. And
Yeah,
there's so
oh
much
my
to look
gosh, yeah.
forward to.
Oh
but
gosh. Yeah.
not even the forward. Actually, to be honest, there's so much to live into
Yeah. Yeah.
in the
Yeah.
moment.
Yeah. The magic is the journey. Yeah.
Yeah.
And we're in it right here, right now. Yeah.
All right. Well, I'm gonna pick a question for us. The next question here.
Yay.
All right. What has this conversation taught you about yourself? Hmm. I think what it's taught me about myself is that I have good instinct in who I should pick to bring into this program.
Oh God. I
It's
just love you.
taught me, yeah, it really taught me that I should always listen to my gut because two things. One, in reaching out to you when I did, I couldn't remember quite how we got connected, but
Yeah.
we've been
Yeah. Yeah.
so connected
I
in
know. I know.
conversation ever
Yeah. Yeah.
since. But it was just a send a ping when you feel that, hey, I want to know more about this person. I think it's taught me that that is that knowing that, and you said it right, when the heart is moved in some way that we should
Yeah.
listen. So
Yes.
that
Yeah.
I've
Yeah.
learned that. What about you?
That's the doorbell. Yeah, for me, gosh, it reaffirms to me how when I surround myself with the people who give me the wind for me to fly on, and nurture those soul songs that I'm trying to sing, that they're there for me and they understand and they feed me and they lift me.
Mm.
And that was you today. Thank you. It just reaffirms that the environment in which we place ourselves is going, we're humans, we're going to be moved by those. Don't watch so much CNN or Fox News, folks. Turn it off. Get your 30-second recap and then turn it off, right? And then call Valerie, you know.
Wait.
Well, not everybody. Take a number, yeah. But you know what I mean? Immerse yourself with the people that are on the journey with you. It helps keep that affirmation
Mm.
and that direction alive to me. Yeah. So that's what I learned from today. You just lifted me way, way up, honey. Yeah.
100%. Thank you. Thank you. I am the wind beneath your wings, Don.
Absolutely. Yeah. I feel a song coming on,
So grateful. So grateful for this budding friendship
Me
and
too,
and
Valerie.
your just your zest and euphoria for life, how contagious it is, and that at at 77 years in and 48 years in partnership with Lonnie, that you're here to tell us how much hope and how much fun and how much
Amen.
discovery
Yeah.
there is
Yes.
in
Yeah.
life. So I'm so grateful for your generosity in spirit
Thank
and
you.
your love for life.
Thank you, Valerie, so much. The honor is all mine, my love. Oh, gosh. Blessings to you. And we'll talk
Blessings.
soon. We'll talk.
Absolutely.
All
Well,
right.
thank you. Hang on a second there. But everybody that's been listening to this beautiful conversation, if you want some of this coaching with Aloha, Don, tell them, how do they find you? I know the book's not out yet, but where should they go? How do they connect with you?
That's a good question. Right now, feel very free at any one time to send me a note at donborges@comcast.net.
Love
And
it.
we'll take it from there. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Yay. I will make sure to put that in the show notes so that people don't have to try to remember everything.
Thank you.
So, ooh,
Thank
that's
you.
really good. You got
Thank
access to this coaching with Aloha spirit. Oh my goodness. It's so
I'm
good.
ready. I love
It's
it.
gonna be so good. So good. Those of you who tuned in, thank you so much for joining us. Remember again to go to www.timetocomealive.com if you want this episode and many more directly in your inbox. You can also subscribe via YouTube so that you get a ping or notification whenever a new episode is posted. So grateful for all of you tuning in. Don, once again, I'm grateful for you as well. Have a wonderful rest of the day, everyone.
Okay.